Hey, what's up everyone? Welcome back to Tease Time. I'm TJ. Thank you for tuning in. Today we have icing on the cake. Icing on the cake. I mean, we have floors. We're doing vinyl flooring. We're going with the Core Lux rigid vinyl planks. The color is... where is it? Caribbean Maple. We're going with Caribbean Maple is the color that we're going with. It's 8 millimeters thick. I took that into consideration when I built like the bottom of the bench right here, so that we have that gap. So it should be like lately it's just been like overhanging a little bit, like there's a little flex, but like the flex will be taken away once the floors are down. So we have that, and I have some tools to try to make my life easier. I did attempt to try to get like at least one strip situated. I'm gonna just like time lapse this. So it's not going to be a lot of talking, except for like right now, the beginning part where I'm just going to tell you or explain to you the process of laying down the floor. So you want to start with a clean floor, a level floor. I'm taking my chances. As you can see, I have like the nickel or dime coin flooring down. I decided to leave that and not try to rip it up, just so we can kind of add some R value, meaning insulation, to the floor. So the more layers, I should have more insulation. In my floor, it's pretty level, it's pretty flat, so we don't have to worry about that. And I did put down like one strip, and it doesn't seem like you hear like any noise or anything like when you step on it and walk on it. So I'm gonna leave my floor. I just went and I swept and I vacuumed. I just made sure I got as much debris and dirt off the floor. The bottom, I'm not really too concerned with the prep for me anyway. For you, definitely take consideration, like if you're doing over like concrete, you want to make sure that's level so it doesn't bow. And then the things to take into consideration when installing, you want to make sure you leave like a 1/4 inch gap around the perimeter of the wall. This is just to leave room for expansion of the panels, so you don't like have the center like bow. So that's important. I'm not skipping that step. I'm gonna make sure I do that, and then just making sure like you got the cut around like certain areas. Like we have this area right here where I already went ahead and I cut that out. But like I did attempt to use this tool that I got. It's called vinyl plank cutter. So I attempted to use this to try to get like just the corner, or just kind of like to make that. But I ended up destroying a couple pieces of the plank. Where I didn't destroy them, I'm just going to use them in different places. Like that right there. That's what I was trying to do or trying to achieve with that right there. So I ended up using a jigsaw. The jigsaw, just because how thick it is and how rigid it is, it doesn't really like to try to do like the split where you just stick like a piece of plank in here. You get it set to your depth, and then you just push this down, and that'll break the panel where you need it to be. And as you can see, like it shows you could do like different shapes and stuff like that. Not with the rigid. We found that out. So with this, for the cutter, how to use that, you just get your line, you get it marked where you need to have it cut. You just slide it in, and you just pull the lever. And that's the blade. I just have it over because I was trying to do like that little piece to go around the wall. So that blade is adjustable. You just slide it all the way in, and then it covers all that surface area. You can just break a board. So that's good for like straight cuts, so that would make life quick for that. But for like all the angle pieces, like going around like the door frame and stuff like that, I'm gonna jigsaw that to get those chunks out of there, to make that make it clean. Just because we live and we learn. Trial and error. So I tried. I had an error. I tried 2 times actually, so I was a little stubborn. I should just listen the first time. But like it's still good. I'm just gonna make a clean cut, and then I'll just piece it in other places. Like we have like stuff in here that needs to be covered. So the goal is to try to use the least amount of panels. I have 4 boxes. I believe there's what is it, 2, 4, 6? I believe it's 6 planks per box. So I'm trying to use the least amount. You're always supposed to get a little extra for error, or just cutting like mistakes that I just did. So we have that. And then also we have a hammer right here, a hammer, and then our block. So what you do, you combine the pieces, or even like right here, we have this right here is just a slide. So you put it at like one edge like so, and you would take your hammer and you would just tap it, and that's just to make everything tight and plumb. And then when you have the pieces put together, you take the block and you could just put it like on that and just hit on that, so you're not actually directly hitting the plank itself, and it spreads the surface area. So this is cool. And then also you could just use this like that to pop it over too, also along with this. So definitely get tools that make your life easier. So it should be pretty quick. I don't want to jinx myself, so I'm gonna go ahead. I'm gonna get some more pieces cut out around the edges that need to be cut out, and we're gonna go ahead and get this floor laid down. And then also I forgot to mention, we have a trim, or these are like what is it, 2 different floors combining. Like we have the diamond plate back there. I'm keeping a diamond plate. So these are like combiner or little plates that just entry, let's put door entry plates, or different levels combining the diamond plate, so we clean up that edge so there's no gap in between. So that's what I'm doing with this. And all you do is you take the metal plate, you cut that to length. So good thing I got my jigsaw. Screw these down, and then these pop in. But when we get to that point, like I'll show you these, I'll probably do a little bit more explanation, but you want to take that into consideration also when you're cutting your length. I'm leaving like I believe 1 3/4 inches from the edge of where they make contact, like where they'll meet up. So for what I'm doing, I have like a gap. I'm gonna leave it, the gap is gonna be about like yay wide, so the strip could go in between, and then you put down the little plate, and this will make this clean. You won't see like any gap. So that's the point of that. But let's get cutting, let's get laying, let's get this done. So yeah. All right, and back here, another tool. This is just to get the contours of where you need to cut. Whoa, 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 whoa. So this tool right here is just to get the contour to go around the walls. So right now I'm gonna need to cut this back, cut a little nook in this so it slits around this door, or this door opening right here. And it should actually, might need to make a little mini piece to fill in right back there to make that like real nice and clean. But just that's what I'm using to like get what I need, or I could just use like a tape measure, or just put it up against a wall and mark, and then just do a measurement of how deep I need to make that cut. So this just kind of makes life a little easier, just so you could see, like you want to do like special contours like around, take all that into consideration around this little what is this, corner protector. You could do that. But that's all I'm doing. I'm gonna just keep on going with this. I'm just kind of excited just to get this finished. This is like the last major real thing I need to actually do for the interior, other than like trim around the top and all that stuff. But yeah, let's go. All right, so we have the front section buttoned up for the most part. We have all this floor going back to the back section, what I'm working on now. I still have to do all of this. This is where like the fireplace will live, and this subwoofer will be bolted down. So that's coming. I'm saving that for last, because that's going to be probably be like the easiest part, just because it's square. It's easy to get to. The hard part is getting around like all these nooks and crannies, door openings down here. So this is my first time doing floor paneling. So what I realized, what I'm gonna show you on the back, right here, what I could have done, instead of having this come all the way out here, I could use an oscillating saw and cut this flush, and then I got the piece of the vinyl plank to go under that, so we want to have a gap here. So now I'm gonna have to do like a little trim piece to make that clean. I'll probably fill that with like some caulk, and then use this is what I'm going to use for the trim. We're going to use this to go around. It sticks. So like I'm gonna just have to play with that to get that to get clean and clear. And like I was saying, like first time doing the paneling, where I was saying I should have trimmed under like the little face frame type stuff, or structuring, our structure anyway. So what I plan on doing is taking this oscillating saw. I have a scrap piece of plank, and I'm gonna cut this like that, just so I can get it to the right height to slide this under it, so we don't have to worry about trying to put like trim pieces around to clean that up. So this will live under that, and then we'll just have to focus on doing trim like around the pieces, like on the inside, not on the outside. So it'll be easier to clean that up. And we do have, this was a difficult piece to cut right here. This is just a strip, just so we have like our room, so we can have our combining trim to go on here. But like to get this cut, I tried to go thinner, but every time I tried, it would just crack. So like that took a lot of time on our cutter. I just kept kind of just, what's the best word? Scribing. So I was scribing. I didn't just do like final like press to break it. I just did like a bunch of like presses going back and forth around to it till it got to a certain depth. Then I popped it so it had something to follow, like if it did crack. And this is the tool I'm talking about right here. So you go through, you'll slide it, because the blade is only so long. But if you're trying to do like the long trims, especially since it's so thick, I'll put it in, and I'll just kind of slowly just keep like working it until it made its way through. As you can see, that there's like a little piece in there, so you don't want to just go hard on it. You just want to kind of keep scribing it, going back and forth until you feel like you're at a comfortable spot, and then go with the heavy presses to break that. And then also, if it does crack, it seems like it likes to crack on the back side, not the front side. So the front side, you want to keep the piece that you plan on keeping. It would be nice if you keep it on this side if possible, because that side seems like it cracks. And then you would just set up these little jigs right here, where to kind of keep the same depth, or the depth on or height or width, whatever, on both sides. You just set this up, and that way you have like a little jig to kind of keep everything where it's supposed to be. But right now we're gonna get into that trim piece with the oscillating saw to get that trimmed down, and then we're gonna do our closet area, and then we'll get like all this clutter out the way and get this situated also. But yeah. So now it should fit under like so. So now we don't have to worry about sitting here trying to do like trim like on the outside of this. So it'll be a lot cleaner. All we have to do is worry about doing our trim on the inside. So I'm gonna get this piece cut. This piece requires a cut here to come around right here, and then also to come around right here, so that looks nice and clean. I'm gonna probably cut the piece that I need it to end. I'm thinking somewhere maybe here. Yeah, just so we don't have to do like a double piece maybe. But let me play with this. Let me get this stuff situated, get my angles cut. And I have this on, it's a little nippy outside, so I'm just trying to like going back and forth from inside to outside, because I try to do all the cutting outside. Like I'm gonna get that cleaned up first, try to keep it as clean as possible. But yeah, let me get stuff situated and we'll get finished and we'll make it happen. Yeah. So this is what I'm going with, or what I have so far for this piece right here. We were cutting this little nook and cranny to get around, and we also still need to make sure we have like that 1/4 inch gap going around. So you have to take all that into consideration, and then to get this angle or this cut right here, I just measure between these 2 points, and then you want to subtract a 1/2 inch. I'm going to double check my measurements. You do that, and you'll get the number where you need to have the actual length for this board to be. So you have your gap here and your gap here also, and then you want to measure this is a 1/2 inch board right here, so we got a 1/2 inch plus you want a 1/4 on each side. So then we go off of that line, we go 1 inch, and that gets that line. And then for this depth right here, I just lined this up right here, and I stuck it under. and I tried to get this end as flush and square as possible. And then I measured from this point here over to this point plus like a quarter, and that will give me what I need right here for that to fit in, so we have like our room for expansion and contraction with the vinyl board. And the purpose of the green duct tape is also to provide protection of the plank when I'm cutting with the jigsaw. It also, so I can see the pencil marks better, especially depending on the color of the vinyl that you're using. It's easier to cut out when you actually see your line. So let me get that cut out, and we're gonna cross our fingers and hopefully it's good, but I'm gonna double check these measurements first, so that way we don't just keep going through boards. I went through a couple boards when I was just working when I was tired. So if you're tired, stop, take a break, make sure you double check your measurements and get it right the first time. As you can see, we have our nice, let's get that, our 1/4 inch gap going all the way around on both sides. So that's good, and when this gets plumbed in, it'll sit lovely where it's supposed to. And then this is like the hardest piece. Once this is out of the way, everything else is pretty square. We just have to get our right lengths and just bang them in and just get that finagled and situated. But yeah, just double check your measurements. Measure twice, 3, however many times you need to do that, and then just cut once. And yeah, so right now we're gonna assemble, and we have this little piece right here. This is just to kind of get it exactly where I need it to be for our trim. And then what you also could do, depending on like your application, you might want to measure, like start from like one end, but measure to get like the equal length, and then divide the lengths and get it square, find your center line, so that way your panels are equal on both sides. But mine, I just went with it. It kind of fell in a nice spot. So I wasn't really like too concerned. And like for the end piece right there, the trim piece to finish like that big gap, or I'll cut like another little like strips to pop in there. But with that, you just have to be careful, like with the cutter, like I was saying, like you have to just kind of go slow because you will crack it. Especially I'm using thick, rigid 8mm vinyl plank, so it's not very flexible. It's not really too forgiving. So that, or you can even just use the jigsaw. The jigsaw works lovely, as you saw. It cuts nice. Just take your time. Use like a lower number tooth saw blade if you do decide to go that route. Fine one might heat up and it might kind of start to stick. Yeah, but let me get this going. Let me get the rest of these pieces cut, and we'll get everything squared away, and I'll show you the little strips that have to go in between that kind of blend these together so you don't see this gap. And then what you can do, if you want to make it real waterproof, put like a bead of silicone on both edges and push that in. And use like masking tape, of course, just so that way when you get it in, it squishes out. You can peel back the masking tape and it'll get nice clean lines. So you can do that if you want to make it 100% waterproof. They're waterproof, but like if water could get in behind like the seams and the gaps around the corners, then it's not so waterproof. And then also I was thinking with my flooring that I laid on top of it, like with the coin flooring, like it should leave like a gap, so like it has room to breathe under the floor. And also hopefully like once the panels set in, it could kind of help keep the floors from moving, because this is a vehicle application. There's a lot of vibration and going and stopping. That's a concern of mine, if the floors will actually move or stay in place. So we will find out, and if need be, like I could add like some screws around the edges, the perimeters, just so like it kind of like it floats, but like it doesn't float too much, if that makes any sense. But yeah, let's get to it. All right, and this is the final piece that needs to be cut. I'm going to show you this. This is what I was talking about when I was saying that you need to scribe it, because I just need to cut off from here, just like this back portion, to make that fit. So this is the scribing technique I was talking about. And there you have it. And that's what I was talking about, like the back portion seems to want to break. like that. So you scribe it and make sure you have the side that you want to keep on this side. So there's no cracks on this. So that's good to go. All right, so we're nearing the end of this install. Right now I have the little finishing trip, the transitional panel right here. So what it does, or what it comes with these strips right here. You have to cut them to length. You put them in between the two floor types that you want it to go to, or like the entry points. So I already have the trim pieces cut going around the perimeter where we're going to add it. So what you do, you get these cut to length, you just screw these down, and then it comes with these strips. They pop into place, so you just have to figure out and cut the length. I'm going to try my best to make a 45-degree angle here at this corner. That's the only one I have to really worry about. The other ones are going to just be just straight shots, single, regular, easy cuts. But the 45, I want that to be as clean as possible. And then, like I was mentioning before, you could do like silicone around like the areas where you don't want moisture to get in. Like I have the shower right here. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to throw like a bead of caulk going around like the whole thing. I don't want moisture or water to come in here. And then also for the paneling, I'm thinking about just throwing like a bead of like some black silicone right here and use some masking tape so we make that clean. So we get it in, you push it in, make sure like it's in there, it's good. And you just pull back the masking tape so you have like some nice clean lines. So that's the game plan if I decide to do so, but definitely I need to do some caulk or silicone going around like the base of the shower. I don't want moisture in there. That's mildew and mold and a smell you don't want to smell. Yeah, let me get those other pieces cut, and then we'll get these screwed in. We'll get the other panels, the little trim pieces popped into place, and we shall be done. All right, so I got my pieces cut. We got our trim pieces. We got our 45-degree angle cuts. I used the vinyl plank cutter that I was using. There's like a little jig setting to make the 45-degree angles. So this is going to live like so. This is going to meet up with that like so. And I cut this one a little short, but I got like a little piece down there I'm going to stick in there. So what I would do next time, I will cut my 45-degree angles and leave them extra long and then just trim it to get it into place. But it's going to work out fine how it is. I'm going to end up using a 3/4 inch screws. Hopefully they're not too long to go and have interference with the floor, because there is plywood, a baseboard or subfloor under this with a vapor barrier, and then with the metal on here. Hopefully this should be fine, but like if it doesn't tighten all the way, it doesn't go through, I'm gonna have to find like a 1/2 inch or something like that. But I'm gonna try these 3/4. So it all depends on your subfloor, the length of screws that you need. So I'm gonna start with that side and get this screwed in, and then we're gonna adjust this if need be to get that to line up just right. We're aiming for perfection on this one. Once I have that situated, we should be good to go. So let's cross our fingers on the screws. And bada boom, bada bing, it's installed, it's done, it's finished for the floor part. I still got trim stuff I have to do, but that's not included with the floors. But this is what I was working on, where you last saw before the video decided to die, SD card ran out. But yeah, I put a silicone underneath these just to make them extra waterproof. So that way if water ends up like on this area or even just getting out the shower, it gets wet. It shouldn't interfere or go under the floors. And I still have to caulk this. The reason why I didn't do that is because it's a little moisture like under there that I saw probably from the last time I took a shower. So I'm gonna let that air out and make sure that's dry before I decide to throw a bead of silicone like I did this corner. But I'm gonna let that just air out beforehand. But yeah, the install wasn't too bad. It took me about 2 days in the making to do this. The hardest part was getting around like the nook and crannies, like just doing like the little shapes going around the edges, getting around the door openings and all that stuff. But like once you overcome that, it's pretty easy, especially like the square spots. Like I didn't record doing this because that was the easiest part. But tools that I used, I ordered this laminate wood floor installer kit. Just you have your blocks to get your spacing around the wall. I used like a square just to make my lines, and the cutter is not in here. I put it away already, but I was using that cutter to cut everything, or the straight cuts anyway, to make life a little easier than trying to use a jigsaw. It's definitely quicker. The only thing you need to be cautious with is the thickness of the board that you're using. I was using a solid or rigid vinyl planks that are 8mm thick, so I wasn't able to do like those little U cuts and stuff like that. But like it helped with the straight cuts. That saved me a lot of time. And then I used this. I tried to use this going around the edges, but I ended up just going the old school way, just using like a tape measure, using the square pencil, and definitely use some masking tape so you can see your lines. Once you have everything like marked and you have your lines, just jigsaw like your special angles, and that's it. But this is like the hard, I wouldn't say hard part. This is like the last tedious thing I've really had to do for the van build. Like majority of everything's pretty much done. Last thing I really need to do is the trim, like going up top. I just don't know what I'm gonna use. Like I tried to get like a couple different like stick-on trim pieces. I didn't like the color, didn't really match the walls. So I returned those. So that's twice. So we're at number 3 right now whenever I decide what I'm going to do. But like I'm not going to record that. I'm just going to do that, get that done. But it's just a matter of just figuring out what I want to use and just if it matches, if it goes with the interior. And then the same goes with the trim. I'm probably going to use the same trim that I'm going to use up top around the windows. So you definitely need to keep that in consideration also. So I'm contemplating maybe wood. Just Home Depot wood, and then I'll have to end up painting it. I was trying not to paint. I don't feel like painting anymore, but there's pieces that I need to paint, so I probably end up painting anyway, like the little door opening right here. I'll probably do that black just because it's a high traffic area, and then I'll also throw a corner guard down over that to kind of help protect that, because you can already see like the traffic from coming and going. So we'll probably take care of that at a later date. But yeah, if you have any questions, I could try to answer them. I don't know, this is my first time doing the floors. Just take your time. That's the only thing that really requires, or anything that we really do requires, is just patience. Take your time and you can do it. So yeah, but comments, questions, concerns, you know where to leave them. Till the next one, stay grounded. Peace. TJ.